Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motorcast. This is your host, Dave, and I got a line with me special guest, Aka funny car driver, the Made America funny car, Tom Furches. How you doing, Tom?
Real good. How are you, Dave?
Good. How's the weather out by you today?
It's better. The weekend was pretty rainy, but we got some sunshine today.
Yeah, we had a little bit of rain in the morning here in Illinois, then turned to sunshine, so it wasn't too bad. So Tom, how did it all begin for you to start drag racing?
I'm sorry, Dave. Say again, how long have I been drag racing?
No. How did it all start for you?
Well, as a child, I've always been in a competitive nature, and I started out at 18 racing 1/10 scale electric radio-controlled cars.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, I did that kind of competitively through my youth. And when it came time, or when I was eligible to get my driver's license, I don't think it took me maybe 2 or 3 months to finally end up at the drag strip, and it's been a ongoing deal ever since.
So what year did you start drag racing?
It would have been 1994. I would have been a junior in high school.
Now, what was your first drag race car?
My first car was actually my daily driver. It was a 1986 Chevrolet Camaro with a V6.
Nice. So after that, how long did you run that car for?
I probably ran that car 2 or 3 years. Did okay in the high school series, learning and coming around, and got to meet a lot of good people that I'm still friends with now. So it was a lot of fun.
So what did you move into after that car?
I actually still own it. I bought a 1968 Camaro that was drag race prepared, no motor transmission, rolling. And I put together a big block Chevrolet and a Power Glide for that. And it has been a very, very good car. Back in about 2001, I tore it down and put a new cage and new frame, new front frame, new back half of the car. And now it's a super street, super gas, depending on elevation. And unfortunately, it doesn't get a lot of love and a lot of attention these days because most of the time and energy is spent on the funny car.
So what year did you get the funny car?
I purchased the funny car in late 2014.
And the funny car...
You know what? Now that I think about it, Dave, I don't think that's right. I think it was late 2012 because we debuted the car in 2014. So 2012. I'm sorry.
Now, when you got the car, was it already made in America, or you changed it?
No, it's actually Todd Lysenko's old fuel funny car out of Illinois. It was. I always forget the gentleman who purchased it originally. It's an old McKinney funny car. And it was a big show car for the first, I want to say, about the first 12 or 13 years of its life. And the last person to drive it in competitive Sunday competition was Todd Lysenko. And he was sponsored by Lucas Oil. So if you are familiar and you go back in the history books just a little ways, at the old Lucas body styles and their paint schemes, it's a former Lucas car.
Yeah. So now, what kind of make model is that car?
It's a 2002 Pontiac Firebird. It's a split 50/50 carbon fiber fiberglass body, the last of the Firebird series.
Nice. So you said the Made in America was already from the top fuel car?
No, I don't know. Other than Lucas, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they didn't have a name on it because they were big buck sponsorship stuff.
They would just have Lucas Oil.
But yeah. So with the paint scheme being what it was, we needed a name for the car, and the red, white, and blue paint scheme, and the turmoil and everything that's going on out in the real world today. I just figured that if we showed up at the racetrack with a red, white, and blue Made in America funny car, that'd be something that the fans could really enjoy and get their heads wrapped around and have somebody to root for when they hit the starting line.
Oh, yeah. Make America great again.
That's right.
I know, like Clint Thompson, he had that Trump car out, the alcohol funny car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually been, I forget who proposed it to me. I don't remember if it was my wife or one of my crew guys that was thinking about putting on the car, Make America Great Again.
Yeah, a lot of drag racers support Donald Trump. I voted for him. My wife voted for him. Yeah. So, I think he's doing a good job.
Well.
I think he's doing good. He's doing what he said he was gonna do. So you don't get a president like that too often.
And for some reason, that makes people mad. So
Yeah,
you can't please everybody.
Yeah, the liberals out there, they're just gonna keep protesting. It's crazy. We're not gonna get political though. Anyway, back to your drag racing. So, the funny car. What's the fastest runtime we've had with that funny car?
Well, we don't have the latest and greatest in blowers, and I think that right now is our limiting factor. The fastest that we've hit the car is 667 at just over 205.
So now you're gonna be hitting funny car chaos, and where you start Amarillo?
Yes, we're going to be in Amarillo the first weekend of June coming up here.
Now, is that the only one you're going to?
That's the only one we have on the schedule for this year. We did not get a chance to hit the first Chaos race, I believe, in Illinois that they had. And I don't know, I'm going to talk to Chris when we have an opportunity to meet coming up here shortly. I suppose there's always opportunity, but right now Amarillo is the only one scheduled.
Yeah, I do believe I heard them say, even though they say there's a 16-car field like in Illinois and then a 24-car field for, they allow more cars if more cars want to come.
Yeah, I you know what, having these type of cars, when you get a big gathering like this, the more of them you can get on the property, the better show that it's going to be and the more fun that people will have. And that's including the drivers and the crew. These cars are so incredible to be a part of and watch. It doesn't matter if you're on a team or in the stands. It's just a lot of fun.
Then, like, I was interviewing Daniel Buthris last night. He was saying the great thing about being in funny car chaos is you being alcohol driver, you could get a chance to go against one of those nitro guys for funny car chaos.
Absolutely, yeah. And I race with a local group that runs around the Midwest, the Rocky Mountain Superchargers. And Ray Stringer came out to one of our events in Pueblo, Colorado, and Ray and I made it to the final for the top Supercharged Thunder, which is the fast class running a 675 index. And unfortunately, when you're in the car, the problem with that is when you're in the car, you're kind of limited in vision and your surroundings, so you rely on your team and your crew. Anyway, lined up with Ray for the final, and I heard Ray's car start. I heard it light, so I knew that it was alive, and that was the last I ever knew about it. Unfortunately, he had a transmission issue and couldn't get it to engage, and unfortunately, I got a single in the final for that event. So I'm looking forward. We're hopefully going to get a chance to line up against Ray one more time.
Yeah, Ray or one of those guys line up with John Hale or Keith Jackson or one of them guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Keith is a native of Colorado as well. In fact, he was at the same event I was this last weekend, battling the weather. And Keith is fantastic, good people.
That's a beautiful thing about funny car chaos. You can go against these nitro guys.
Absolutely.
So now, for you, when you started drag racing, did you have any drivers out there that were inspirational to you?
You know, the one driver that I looked up to as a kid, and I honestly I just don't know why, other than I just respected what he did, and it kind of maybe thought of it as a family organization, was Eddie Hill. Eddie and Ursi, you'd see them on, or get the chance to see them and meet and talk with them in person when they come to Denver. It just seemed like the guy doing it his way and enjoying life and having fun. And so I always liked looking up to Eddie and following his career.
How about nowadays? Do you have any drivers that you look up to?
You know, there's quite a few. And racing drag racing specifically has changed over the years. You know, I love to watch all of the big show cars, and you know, get more generated now, or geared towards the youth. The Leah Pritchett and Capco. I just lost his name, but you know, the older guys I think have a lot going on. Ron Capps and what the independent he used to drive for Lucas himself. Him and his dad are doing it now. I'll think of the name here in a minute. Anyway, there are a lot in the fuel ranks that are just so much fun to watch, and the competitiveness that they bring to the table. Unfortunately, it's so selective in who gets to participate at that level. I wish it wasn't so expensive that there could be a bigger group of cars. You know, it's nice to see the qualifying ladder from the U.S. Nationals, because everybody likes to come out and play at the U.S. Nationals and have a good time. But you go to some of the other markets that aren't quite as prestigious of a race, and they're just not getting the fields, and that's a shame, because not many people can participate at that level. But as far as drivers, you know, Ron Capps, Beckman, all those guys are so much fun to sit and talk with. If you ever have the chance at a race, I always highly recommend going and talking to the drivers. It doesn't matter if they're fuel funny car drivers, fuel dragster drivers, or local guys at your local Saturday night. Go talk with them, and they always have good stuff and fun to share.
Now, have you got any advice from these guys?
What's that?
Have you gotten any advice from these guys?
You know, I had the opportunity for a couple years in a row to talk with Jack Beckman for a few minutes at a time during some downtime here at the Mile High Nationals. And the one thing that I took away from Jack and the conversations that we had are to stay grounded and to try and continue to make it fun. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in trying to accomplish a goal, or you know, whether it's ET or mile an hour or to make an event or something like that, you kind of lose perspective. And one of the things that Jack shared was, you know, try and stay grounded and try and keep the big picture of, we're doing something that not many people get the opportunity to do, and enjoy the moment and enjoy what you're doing, rather than trying to make it just work all the time.
Right. Yeah, you have to enjoy what you're doing.
Unfortunately, and I joke with my crew a lot about this, is we've taken something that's very fun and very enjoyable, and we still, don't get me wrong, have a great time. And trust me, if you're around the pits at Funny Car Chaos, you'll see a bunch of guys with smiles on their face. But we've taken something that is fun, and sometimes it turns out to be a lot more work than even we expect from time to time. But we do our best to make it fun and have a good time, and it shows.
Well, that's good. Yeah, drag racing's all one big family.
It is. You know, the only place you don't have any friends is on the starting line. But from stripe to stripe, outside of that period, you know, I've never seen a group of people that would, you know, they'll take the motor out of their car if you need one. They're just giving. They're willing. They're willing to help for anything you can imagine. Getting to the race to getting back home again, anything in between.
Yeah, then like you said, once the helmet goes on, it's a whole different story. That's, you
It sure is.
you want to make him eat your dust. then
Yep.
then at the end of the finish line, you guys are all friends again.
Oh, sure. By the time you climb back out of the car, everybody's got a big smile again. But, boy, between those 2 points, I don't see too many people smiling.
So now, have you had any races so far this year?
No, we haven't had much success this year. We went to our first event in Pueblo earlier this year and burnt a piston. And caused some body damage and really kind of created a bunch of havoc and a mess for us to fix. And then our second event was this last weekend, and it rained. So we haven't had a whole lot of luck.
So now, for you, Tom, what was it like getting behind the wheel for the first time of the funny car?
I have a good friend by the name of Tony Arcuri. He's been a funny car driver now for probably a decade, maybe even a little more. So I had the opportunity to crew and work on his teams, and they knew that I owned a car and that I'd be driving shortly, so I got an opportunity to sit in his car when they fired it for warm-up and stuff like that. And then when he'd make a run, I got the opportunity to be the tow driver to bring it back to the pit for service and stuff like that. So having that opportunity sure helped to be able to get behind the wheel for the first time. It was a lot of fun to sit in that seat and to experience life from that point of view again is something that most people don't get to do and be part of, and it was a tremendous amount of fun. A lot of stories have come out of this idea, that's for sure. We haven't been doing it very long.
So when the hood came down, you didn't get no claustrophobia or anything like that?
It's different, everybody's different, got a different perspective. I actually like the body down more than I like having the body up. The guys, you get to the starting line and the crew gets the car fired, and you give the nod to your body guy to lower the body, and it feels, and it's kind of strange, but it just feels like home when that body's down. It's not as loud, it kind of quiets down just a little bit, and it's just a good place to be. It's kind of, everybody's got their little happy place, and my happy place just happens to be inside that car with the body's down, and that's where I like to spend my Saturdays, I guess.
So how'd you do on your first run in that car?
I didn't have the only license that I had is I had carried a super gas license. So we went through full licensing of 6 passes to get the advanced DT Class B, which was up to 125-inch wheelbase. And so we started slow. And once the car was ready to hit the racetrack, we had a goal of going, 330, 600, 1,000, and 2 laps. But we had a present in the car that we didn't know. We had a battery that had been unplugged and showed up, and it caused the car to die, just shut off part of the ignition. The first couple of times to make a run, it would do a burnout, but it would back itself up because it made on the car. Once we got those issues fixed, got ready to get down to business and making a run. In fact, the friend I was talking about, Tony, was there for this effort. So we get the body down, we get the burnout, everything's going well. And it was scheduled, this was, I think, our second one, it was scheduled, and I just remember I was in the yesterday, I released the transcript, but the car takes off, and it is beautiful. Everything is really good about it. And I get out to about, I don't know, 100 to 200. And I don't know if my helmet was against the rain cage or not exactly, but my vision started to fade away. The vibration from the car was shaking my vision to the point that I was going away. So I focused on an orange block in the center of the racetrack. And I watched the block going straight. Everything was, I was in control. And when the orange block disappeared, I lifted off the track. And the orange block came back right away. And that was one of the first memories that I had, only a split minute I had of driving the finish line. That block disappeared.
Now, Tom, you're getting a little muffled. You might to move the phone around a little bit.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's beautiful. So now, currently, how many crew members do you have, and who are your crew members?
Currently, we travel with 5. One of them is on loan. We have the crew chief is Roger Kruyat. He's a friend that is now retired. Worked with me at Coors, which is my employer here in Colorado. We have a pair of brothers. We have Jeff and Justin Peterson. It's great to have those guys because they bring the youth and the energy to the team. Jeff specializes on basically everything from the motor plate forward, and Justin specializes on everything from the motor plate backwards, including the body. Then we have a father and son. We have Robert Hollis and his son, Jason Hollis. And Jason is, he's our go-to guy for everything that's out of the ordinary. Like if there's something to be, if we've forgotten something and we're towing, or if we need something out of the trailer, something like that, he's our go-to guy for that area. And his father, we call him the DSM, and what we've taken that from is we had an opportunity to go to the Hot Rod Reunion in Bakersfield, and we met with Fred Lippincott Jr. for the drag racing people out there. And his crew chief, and if you know who I'm talking about, he's a drag racer from the 60s. So he's no spring chicken today, but he was a great fun to talk to. And he nicknames Robert the DSM, and we've turned that from what it was back then into the driver support manager. So Robert is there to take care of any of the needs that I have between the time we leave the pit and the time we get back to the pit. So he helps get me into the car, take care of any concerns or needs that I have while I'm in the car, and then he's back at the top end of the racetrack to help assist and download any information that I have from the run that that's important to take care of.
And that's everybody?
And that's everybody.
Yeah. So now, do you currently have any sponsors, Tom?
I have one current sponsor is NGK Spark Plugs. They've stepped on board just this year, early in March, and they've been a great pleasure to work with. We've had some contingency sponsorship with them in the past, and this year they've been the ones to come on board and help us.
So now, when you get ready for a weekend of drag racing with the car, what goes into preparation for you?
Well, there's a laundry list of things that need to be accomplished before we hit before it even gets loaded in the trailer. We did make one run this last Friday before the rains came in, and before we get out, we're going to check and make sure all the bearings are good. We're actually this week we're going to pull the manifold and pull both heads off, pull out all 8 pistons, check each one for rings. We'll probably do a light hone on the cylinders, check the bearings, put everything back together. We'll pull the bell housing off, make sure that everything looks good inside there. Make sure the transmission, I think for the Chaos, we want to service the transmission and make sure everything's ready to go. Then we'll do a preliminary leak down on the motor. We'll do a preliminary leak down on the fuel system. And then we'll start going over data for the fuel system based on, we are a mile-high race team here out of Denver, Colorado, and we'll be heading to, I believe the elevation for Amarillo is 650 feet versus 5,800 feet, which we're accustomed to. So there's definitely going to be some attention and some time spent getting the fuel system set up and ready for all that extra oxygen that's going to be available to us.
So how many miles is the drive for you to get to Texas from Colorado?
I think it looked like I forget. I want to say we figured it's 7 hours, so I think it's like 350 miles, something like that, 360. I don't remember. About a 7-hour drive is what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think Chris was doing some kind of thing where the longest drive for one of the drivers gets like a prize for that or something like that.
Yeah, well, if I'm correct, and I haven't had a chance to look over the entry list completely, but there should be some Illinois drivers coming. I'm not sure.
Then I know you got the one guy from I think what's his name, the alcohol guy, that Ant. You know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
The yellow and brown. I interviewed the guy. I can't remember his name. I'm having a brain fart right now. He's got the yellow and black alcohol funny car.
Yellow and black.
Yellow and black, yellow and brown. It's like the ant mob.
No, I don't know. You know, one of the fellas that we've also raced with within the Rocky Mountain Superchargers group is Jim Chase out of North Dakota, and Jim had some engine trouble in the middle of last year, and he worked tremendously hard to get his car put back together to try and make the first Chaos race last year, 2017, and he missed it by, I think he had an oil problem, oiling issue that he set him back. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jim showed up from North Dakota down in Amarillo in a couple of weeks.
No, his name's Aiden. Aiden Heatley. I think.
Sorry, Dave.
The driver's name's Aiden Heatley. They're from Canada.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not sure about them.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he's coming to Amarillo. I know he's coming to the Illinois one. Yeah. So now, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on, Tom?
You know, for quality of race surface and locality, you just can't beat Denver. You know, nobody really likes to come play in Denver because of the altitude. But being it's my home track, and the guys there do such a great job in preparing it, and the Vandermeer family, they do a really good job. And I know that in the past I've been critical of them. They never really let anybody down. They provide a great facility, a great surface, and do a great job there. When we travel, you know, the hospitality is so fantastic when we travel with the Rocky Mountain Superchargers. One of the best tracks that has always done a great job, again, with setup and being prepared and running a fantastic facility is Kansas International Dragway in Wichita. The young gal that runs that, Madison, She's top notch. She may be young, but she runs a fantastic program with a great group of people supporting her and doing a great job at that facility as well. It's always a lot of fun. The fans that end up attending those events are wonderful. Stop by, and a lot of times we'll do promotions between the Rocky Mountain Superchargers T-shirt tent. If they purchase, usually it's over $50 worth of merchandise. We'll have, unfortunately, there's some carnage that goes along with running these cars. So we'll have, pistons or blower belts, or maybe set of old seat belts that are no longer in spec. When we'll put a signature on those, and somebody gets to take home a souvenir from the racetrack. And the fans really love it, and we get to have a good time doing it. So it's a win-win.
Now, do you do eighth mile or quarter mile, or both?
Well, mostly it's quarter mile. The car is currently set up for quarter mile, and we do run a top loader, which is kind of for those listening that aren't understanding it. The top loader is a rear end in the car, and to change the gear set on it is a task. It's time consuming and difficult to do. Obviously not impossible. So we're gonna leave our quarter mile setup in the car for Amarillo, even though we're going to be running our first attempt at eighth mile. We're just going to change our fuel system and maybe some other small changes to adapt to eighth mile racing. But everywhere we go, it's primarily quarter mile.
So now, Tom, where do you get your fire suit from?
Simpson. In fact, every piece of safety equipment on the car, I shouldn't say that. That's not entirely true. Every piece of safety equipment that is for the driver, including seatbelts. I'm a big fan of Simpson. I don't think anybody, I don't want to discredit all the other the people out there that are making safety gear, but I try to stick within that area, the biggest and the baddest company available, and I don't think anybody does a better job than Simpson. For me, now of course for the car, as far as ballistic blankets for the blower and transmission and engine and stuff like that, Taylor helps me out. DJ Safety also helps me out with some of their products as well. But as far as the driver, it's all Simpson all the way.
Okay, now what kind of engine you got in the car?
We run a 526 cubic inch TFX.
And that's, the car's blown alcohol, right?
Yep, it's got Brad 5s for cylinder heads and a Littlefield 1471 supercharger running as much methanol as will allow it to drink.
Now, do you have any plans to ever run nitromethane?
No, we've had some discussions. In fact, we've had some discussions recently. There are a group of nostalgia nitro racers here in Denver that have been helping me with some safety pans on the car and some safety gear here recently. And we had some discussions about potentially doing a light nitro, maybe 20 or 30%. But as of right now, the way that the engine is prepared, it's pretty much prepared just for methanol. We'd have to do some pretty serious modifications to start putting nitro in it.
No. Now, what would you consider to be some of the milestones of your drag racing career, Tom?
Oh, I don't know. For me, I like the competition aspect. The fun nowadays with the funny car is to spend time in the shop with the team that I've built and that enjoys the same things that I do. As far as milestones, for me, I like the competition side of being able to participate Now, this is with the 68 Camaro more so than with the funny car, but to be able to participate in the larger events, the regionals, divisionals, and national event competition. Had a couple of wins with the Super Street car at some lower level stuff, but just to be able to compete and have the opportunity for that kind of stuff is fun for me.
Okay, now throughout your whole drag racing career, Tom, have you had any accidents or near accidents at all?
No, I've been very fortunate. I've never been involved in an on-track incident. The closest I've ever been was during a time run in the Camaro. I was up against. It was time run, so I really wasn't up against him as far as competition or anything. It was a comp car, and so he was considerably faster than me at the time. And he got out and he started getting closer to the center line and then crossed it. And unfortunately, he did roll that car in front of me. But I had, luckily enough, I was slow enough that I had plenty of time to stop before any contact was made with him. That's the closest I've ever been to an on-track incident, and hopefully it'll never happen. We'll just keep clean and green and have a good time and be safe each run.
Yeah, knock on wood, you'll be safe.
Yeah, sure.
So now we reached the fun portion of the fun question portion. Then we'll finish out the interview. Okay, so if someone said, Tom, here's $200 million, can you build me a drag race track? Where would you want to build this track, and what kind of features would you want to put into it?
The question is, if somebody gave me money, where would I build a racetrack?
Yeah, where would you think of building the racetrack, and what kind of features?
Geez, I don't know. I'm a native of Colorado, and I don't know. I'd like to build a state-of-the-art facility here in Colorado, but I don't know if I would just because of the altitude. That's a fantastic question. I'd have to go somewhere down towards the West Coast. I'm not sure how far down south, down into just outside of California area, so we get some population and get some good weather, but it's just not killer hot like Phoenix.
Right.
And as far as amenities, I had the opportunity this year to work on an alcohol funny car in North Carolina at the Four Wides at AMAX. And it was quite a show, I have to admit, to go down and watch 4 fuel cars line up and leave at the same time is pretty amazing. So I don't know if I'd go Bruton Smith and go 4-wide racing, but to put together a facility, you know what I'd kind of copy that? I'd kind of copy it as Chicago.
Route 66?
I like the way that they design their facility, and it's kind of like a not a fishbowl, but like a horseshoe. And all the action is so close and so tight to the center of how they design that facility. I really like how the Chicago Route 66 racetrack is designed.
Okay. So now, Tom, do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
No, just my kids. I'm married. I have 2 daughters. Trying to keep up with them. If I'm not working on a racetrack on a race car, trying to get to the racetrack, I'm trying to keep up with 2 almost teenage daughters. That and keeping the house up and keeping the wife happy are that's enough for anybody to do. So
the wife and 2 daughters support your drag racing?
We do, but you know what's funny about it is they love coming to the racetrack when we do the local stuff. They won't be with us when we go to Amarillo, but neither one of them both of them have had the opportunity to drive and manufacturers, but neither one of them want to participate. They just
You got to move your phone again. You got to move your phone again, Tom.
Oh, I keep moving it away. I keep doing that.
There you go. So they both had a chance to drive a junior dragster before?
Yeah, they had their chances to get behind the wheel of the car, and they both declined. They'd rather sit and watch Dad, and they're getting to the age now that they participate in helping with the car a little bit. They like to help load the car in and out of the trailer. But as for driving themselves, they just didn't have that need for speed, I guess.
Yeah. So, with the funny car, since you've been driving this funny car, has there been a greatest competitor out there for you?
Yeah, Tony. I'd have to say one of my biggest competitors would be Tony. Another one would be we've got a couple. There's it's not a funny car. It's a blown dragster here out of Colorado, and his name is Danny, and Danny Smith, and I think he and I are real close to the same tenure driving a blown car, and he was also a competitor for Rocky Mountain Superchargers. And driving against Danny is always a treat because you know that it's going to be super competitive, and he's got a fast dragster that keeps up with me, and that's a lot of fun too.
Okay, I got a few more questions for you. What's your favorite food to eat?
My favorite food?
Yes, sir.
It's got to be an Italian beef sandwich with grilled onions and hot peppers. It was probably my first, maybe my second job in high school, working for a old Italian couple. They were from Chicago, and she was a cook from sun up to sundown, and they ran an Italian restaurant that I worked in, and an Italian beef sandwich and a side of fries. You just can't beat a better lunch than that.
What's your favorite beverage?
Favorite beverage? I don't know. Hot day sitting outside, maybe after the race is done. I'm a Coors Light guy. I've had the opportunity. I'm going to be loyal to my company. I've had the opportunity to work for Coors for almost 19 years now. And sitting back, relaxing, drinking a nice cold Coors Light, whatever you have, that's good stuff.
So what's your favorite music, Tom?
My wife says I was born in the wrong generation. I like the classic rocks. Yeah, I listen to Led Zeppelin, The Doors. Heck, I'll even listen to some Beatles. You know, and just sit back, relax, and everything's so busy nowadays. You're running around chasing the world. It seems like have the opportunity to sit down, listen to good music, enjoy a beverage. That's good times. Yeah,
can't go wrong with some Pink Floyd.
That's right.
Jimi Hendrix, all that stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So now, Tom, I want to thank you for your time for the interview. Do you have any final words for everybody listening in?
Well, Dave, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to sit and talk with you tonight, and you know this has all come about because we're getting ready to prepare for the Funny Car Chaos race that's going to happen in Amarillo in just over a week and a half. And if there's anybody out there that has the opportunity to make it down to Amarillo to have an opportunity to watch Funny Car Chaos, everything I've heard about and everything I've had the opportunity to read about for what Chris is putting together. Chris is the promoter for the event. It's just going to be a blast, and I'm looking forward to my opportunity to participate in it coming up here real soon.
Sounds great. Well, Tom, I wish you the best of luck on your racing season this year.
Thanks, Dave.
And thanks again for being on air.
Absolutely, anytime. I really do appreciate this time, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk soon.
Oh, yeah, we'll do another one in the future. Hopefully we'll talk about some good wins that you get.
Okay. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks again.
Dave,
go ahead.
Dave, I just have one more question
for
you.
Go ahead.
Are you you going to have a chance to make it to the event?
Nah, not that one. If I go to any of it, it'll be the one in Illinois over the next one after that, July.